Broadcasting from the Rude Air Conditioning Studios. For everyone who screams "Go Bulls" with horns up, we are 95.3 FM, W237CW Pinellas Park, WRUB HD3 Clearwater, and the mighty 620 WDAE St. Petersburg. Streaming live right now on your free iHeartRadio app. All your sports, music, talk, and podcasts. Hey, Bulls fans, free has never sounded so good. It's time, man! The stage is set!
Welcome.
Welcome home, baby.
I like this kind of party! Putting the fun in dysfunctional.
Yeah!
Each and every weekday morning, the Pat and Aaron Show.
Is it a little too early for being that loud?
Good Morning Tampa Bay.
And here we go.
Now your hosts, Pat Donovan and Aaron Jacobson.
Good morning, goons. Welcome to the Pat and Aaron Show, 95.3 WDAE and AM 620, coming to you live on a Jacobson Wednesday. We've got no Doug Wechter today, although we do have a special guest for the 8 o'clock hour. But Aaron Jacobson back from vacation, back to help carry the ship. And we got a lot to talk about today. It is a frustrating day.
I can drive the ship with you. I will not carry the ship.
We are carrying the ship, Aaron Jacobson.
I am not strong
I don't know
enough.
how we're doing that, but
I'll ride it, though.
you ride the ship.
It's good to be back, man. I missed a lot.
You did.
I missed a lot.
You did. Well, I know you didn't miss it, but you haven't been here to talk about it.
And I was itching to talk about it, which is the
know you
worst.
were.
This is the best job and the worst job ever. And the best job meaning like
It's never the worst job ever. Get the hell out of here.
you're right. It's the worst feeling sometimes. It's maybe one of the only jobs that you feel worse sometimes when you're out on vacation. Maybe
That's
the
true.
only job. And
You're like, I've never had a job where I'm like, God, I wish I was at work today.
Bingo. That's it. That is it. Like Monday morning, I'm
Never.
like, oh man, I wish I was. The people I was with, I was like, man, I wish I could go in and talk to everybody today and have a conversation with everyone about what's going on. And everyone's looking at me like, you want to go to work? You have a vacation.
They didn't get it?
We have that type of job where I love going to work. Vacations are necessary to refresh yourself a little bit. But man, this is when weeks like this, with everything happening with the Rays, I mean, we got a lot to say. And not only that, we got a lot of people with opinions. I want to hear them.
That said, right, some conversations are more fun than others. And yesterday, for instance, Heidi, when I get home, she's like, you sounded very agitated at times. And I'm like, well, I am very agitated. And I think that's where a lot of Rays fans are this morning after what was, I guess I'll call it a weird day, Aaron. I actually took a little bit of time. I found the live stream of the Pinellas County Commission meeting. But the whole meeting, I felt like, I don't know why I'm watching this to an extent, because it felt moot, because the Rays, just a couple hours before the meeting, sent a letter to the Pinellas County Commission and all of their partners in Pinellas, and they're not happy.
Did you see that letter? I mean,
I have it in front of me.
It's a lengthy letter.
I was wondering which one of us was going to read it.
Nobody. It's too much going on in there.
I actually think it should be read.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
The whole letter. Are we
Yes.
looking at the same letter?
I think we're looking at the same letter.
2 page?
It's a good page and a half at least.
Okay, so I'll let you
Co-signed from Brian Ald and Matt Silverman.
Should we take turns reading the letter, kind of like book club, where you is that what they do in book club? They go around and each read a paragraph?
I like that. Casey, you're going to have a paragraph too.
He reads great.
He's going to get paragraph 3, which is the easiest one, at least for the first beginning. But should we also, important question, and by the way, 888-546-4620 if you want to jump aboard. You can also text your thoughts to the Bartow Ford DAE text line, 82945. Message and data rates may apply. I'm sure plenty of you have thoughts this morning. Should we have dramatic music of some sorts underneath us as we read the letter?
I'm not reading it unless we have dramatic music. That's the deal now.
Casey, dramatic music immediately.
Pat.
We're demanding this morning.
Let's see what I can
We're
find.
putting our fist down with you, Casey Warner, and with everyone else. It is a little dim, and I feel like we're T-Crowns this morning. It's a little dim.
We directed a lot of our ire, and I listened to some of the show when I was out, and I've seen the anger on social media.
I'm pissed.
A lot of ire has been directed at Commissioner Chris Latvala.
Yeah, he got it from me.
Where he did.
We had fun, me and Latvala. We really did.
Was he wasn't on the air, was he?
No. We tweeted back and
forth.
Are
you guys good? Are you guys good?
Listen, I'm annoyed by all of the commissioners who are ready to vote against the ballpark, and which, by the way, Chris Latvala was prior to the announcement that the Rays were going to play their spring training games in Steinbrenner, which I think is funny that all of a sudden he's like, well, if they play in Hillsborough, I'm not voting for it. You already didn't vote for it.
Yeah, and he's also not the only one. He's leading the charge, but he's not the only one. But he had, yes, this is it.
All right, pause it for a second.
But you found it.
That's when letter time. That's perfect. Thank you.
He was receiving, as you know, death threats. I know you had somebody.
That's too much.
Too much. I mean, we got to stop with that. We got to dial it down. I know you had a guy on the air. I wasn't listening.
Yeah.
But through the grapevine, like I was over at.
Do you know who Andrew is?
No.
Oh, he missed the whole bit.
I haven't listened to any of it, but I went. This is how this show like travels. Places I was going, people were like, great interview Pat had with that guy this morning. I was like, what guy? I went to Mazda of Clearwater. By the way, anybody needs a new car, I'm telling you. By the way, I do not endorse them. I'm telling you, that is the place to go. With ease, I had the easiest process ever.
I do endorse them. And you were talking, I'm making fun of you for the last 3 days about how you were like, maybe I'll go to this dealership, maybe. And I'm like, you idiot. Go to Mazda of Clearwater. And then you decided to be like me.
I was an idiot, and I should have done that immediately. And I went over there, and when I went to pick up my car and get it done on, I guess yesterday, Monday, somebody over there was like, Pat, and that guy was amazing. I was like, I just want to be at work. I just want to be over there. But the ire was directed.
Oh, so they mentioned it there.
Yes.
That's funny.
The ire was directed at Latvala, and I get that. But there are other commissioners involved in this. And then after hearing everything yesterday, there has to be ire thrown towards the Rays, Stu Sternberg and everyone at the top, because they are not free and clear and innocent in everything that has happened. And Pat, that letter you talked about, and we will read it, for them to send that just before that vote was to take place, and for that to be a scathing letter, essentially saying, because you've been dragging your feet for a couple weeks after a major hurricane, by the way, a natural disaster, that is essentially how this deal is going to fall through and be torpedoed. A couple weeks? Really? You can't, not that the commissioners, I bet you either way, they would have pushed this thing back, and maybe even if Milton didn't happen, they probably were going to push this thing back, which is totally on the commissioners. But everything I saw from that letter from the Rays yesterday, they don't want to be here. They are looking for
I disagree with that. I disagree with.
Out. They do not want to be here
I disagree
anymore.
With that.
I don't know how anybody could see it any other way.
If it had been voted through when it was supposed to be voted through, they're not. There's no conversation at all.
But for them to not have
they
a little
were ready for a new ballpark.
But for them to not have a little forgiveness or leeway considering of a natural disaster, and for them
you
to
can
not
argue.
For them to not be in constant public communication. You can do private communication, public communication, either way. To not be in constant communication with the commissioners is wrong.
I thought when I was watching that, look, I saw several commissioners complain about that. I thought, you know what? There's a lot going on. They're trying to figure things out. Major League Baseball's involved. The union's involved as far as where they're going to play baseball. It feels a little self-important to me when I hear those commissioners well, they didn't call me.
Yeah, but for everything you just said, there's a lot going on and this and that, can't you say the same about the Rays towards the commissioners of, hey, a lot of things have happened and transpired in the last month that it doesn't mean the deal is dead, but some other things have to be looked at right now. And for the Rays to act like that's the reason this thing is going to be torpedoed is just, I just don't agree with it. And I don't think it's fair because that letter had to take time to draft. A couple weeks, they've been thinking about this, the Rays. They found their stadium. You now have, for them to act and argue, and we'll read the letter and you'll hear it, but Pat, they're arguing as if the 3 weeks or whatever it is makes such a big difference in how they're going to construct this stadium. You have a totally new timeline now. You don't have to construct it around the Trop still being there and playing baseball. You're going to have to change your plans.
I think they make some decent arguments within the letter about people who are going to move here and things that were going to happen that can't happen now.
Boo-hoo. People that were going to make money to move here to work on the stadium had to change it by a month.
It's upended people's lives.
No, it changed it by a month, maybe a little more. The timeline changed. And by the way, that happens all the time with major projects like this. So boo-hoo to the people that were going to be coming here when whenever they were going to come here. Now they have to change their timeline a little bit to make a ton of money to build this stadium. Boo freaking who.
Listen, I'm sorry, but to me, I think it works both ways. And I think the commission should have voted it through when they've already approved it. And at that point, I understand the Rays' frustration. Now, did they handle it the best way? No, I don't believe that by any stretch of the imagination. All right, I don't think they handled it the right way, because when we read the letter, it suggests that the second it wasn't approved in October, which is like a month ago, that made the deal, according to the Rays, impossible. Well, then why do we not know that until yesterday, right before the vote? That I don't understand.
Weird.
It's almost as if they were saying, hey, even if you voted through now, too bad, we're not going to do it. Which
Yes.
that I have a problem with.
And that to me is...
That I do have a big problem with.
And I'm glad you do. And Pat, to me, that big sticking point, it makes me think, how much do they really want to be here in the first place? Because
I don't think you go through all this and spend the money and all the nonsense if they don't want to be here.
Because at the finish line,
they could have just left. They could have just left, and you know that.
A couple things go wrong. No, they couldn't have. They could not have just left. Stu Sternberg or Rob Manfred has made it very clear they don't want the Rays to leave this area. They've very clear with the TV market that we're in. So I don't think it's as easy as, well, they would have had the money in Nashville, stadium would have been paid for, because that's a no-brainer. Stu Sternberg absolutely would have done that if he could have done that. Major League
I don't know
Baseball's
that
not
that's true. That's not fair.
I feel very confident that is fair.
I feel like there have been cities that have been ready to step up and build a ballpark, and at the end of the day, if the Rays couldn't get it done here, Major League Baseball would have approved it.
This guy,
it's not that hard to get the ball moving.
This guy, Stu Sternberg, was ready to take the team to Montreal.
That was a dumb idea.
I'm not putting anything past what that guy wants to do. I'm not putting anything past Stu Sternberg, and I'm not going to take any personal shots at Stu because we talked about this on the show before. I like Stu. When we have one-on-one conversations, there's times where he's very transparent, and then there's times where you're like, there's a little bit of shadiness going on behind the scenes, and I wait till we play some of this audio from the meeting yesterday and one of the commissioners. The more I hear and the more I see, I think that the Rays are certainly at as much fault, if not more, than the commission.
We're going to have to read the letter for you at 6:30 because this discussion has gone on. But that's the way this thing has gone. It's so frustrating that you can't even get to the point, and that's what's going on with the Pinellas County Commission.
I wanted to let people wake up anyway. We'll do top headlines 6:30, then we can have our cup of coffee together and read this very long memoir.
No coffee for me.
You can't. Oh, that's right.
My belly's a little weird.
Yeah. I'll drink some for you.
Thank you. Yeah, have some coffee for me. That'll help. Listen, we can help you if you're thinking about getting married because the biggest and final store-wide sale of the year, it's coming this weekend at International Diamond Center. Get extra savings store-wide, and we're talking save up to 20% off virtually everything in the store or get 3 years zero-interest financing. We're talking about extreme values, too. The best deals of the year on rings, earrings, bracelet, bands, pendants, designer jewelry, you name it. It's like double the selection with all of the industry's top designers here with their entire collections with everything on sale. Big name designers from New York and Los Angeles are here with tons of new styles, all the latest designs from Verragio, Simon G, and many more.
Yeah, and if you're looking to make your money go farther, this is a perfect opportunity to do it. You get up to 20% off, or like Pat said, 36 months, zero interest financing. Just think about it. A $3,000 pair of diamond studs, just $84 a month. You can't miss this. It's a 3-day, $60 million event, lowest prices before the holiday, including over 1,000 new diamonds purchased just for this event in all the hard-to-find shapes and sizes. Don't miss it. This Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only, and only at International Diamond Center, Tampa, Clearwater, Lakeland, and Sarasota, official jeweler of the Gators. More details at shopidc.com. And yes, we see it on the text line. That Lightning game was fire. We'll get into that big win from the Lightning yesterday, 3-2 over the Penguins.
Yeah, nice game for Braden Point. We'll have today's top headlines. Maybe we'll even sneak in a little bit about the Bolts on today's top headlines coming in next on the Pat and Aaron Show, 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
WDAE
Traffic update.
from the Safe Touch Security Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Macy's Backstage.
Minor crash off to the right-hand side on southbound 275 just before the exit for Almerton Road. No major problems to report on I-4. Traffic also moving well in both directions on I-75 throughout the entire area. Traffic moving well on the Veterans Expressway towards the airport and 275. Get traffic info around the clock by searching News Radio WFLA on iHeartRadio. I'm Randy Myers.
Macy's Backstage has amazing deals on everything you need to celebrate the holidays, all for $15 and under. Get low prices every day on unique finds before they're gone. In-store only at Macy's Backstage today. Find a location near you at macy'sbackstage.com.
What's the Anna Jar and Levine difference? If you're the victim of a car crash, you will always speak to a lawyer. You'll always get the highest standard of care from our dedicated legal team, and we'll always fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. That's the Anna Jar and Levine difference. Call our legal team right now for a free consultation. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Don't wait. Call 1-800-747-FREE.
Main office, Tampa.
Sunday morning at 9. Gear up for your Bucs football game day with the Insiders. 60 minutes of wall-to-wall insight, analysis, and commentary on all things Bucs and NFL. From the most trusted voices in Tampa Bay, Rick Stroud, Scott Reynolds, and Pat Donovan bring you the Insiders. Presented by the Central Florida Behavioral Health Network and the Department of Children and Families. Sunday morning at 9 on the home of the best Bucs coverage. 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Were you uninvited to game night? Do you play board games with the ferocious intensity of an iron-fisted oligarch? Have friends left game night asking, how do you sleep at night? Then you should get a mattress from Mattress Firm. They can help anyone sleep. It's Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale. Save up to $500 on Tempur-Pedic. Plus, get a $300 instant gift. Take 120 nights to love it or your money back. Get matched at Mattress Firm. Sleep at night. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma, call us now. $30 billion was set aside for meso victims, and in most cases, your claim is settled out of court without a jury trial. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Hey guys, T-Kraz here from my guys over at C4MH.com. Have you been hitting the gym more this year, but you feel like you're not getting anywhere? Frustrating, right? Well, if you're over 40, the problem might be low T. Testosterone is a primary hormone needed for building that muscle, guys, and if your testosterone is low, you'll be working twice as hard at the gym and getting nowhere. So know before you go and get your testosterone tested. From my guys over at C4MH.com, just $45 gets you lab results and a medical exam. And C4MH.com only treats with pharmaceutical testosterone and never that cheap cut rate compounded testosterone that all of those pop-up T clinics use. C4MH.com never makes you pay for treatments in advance, no financial contracts to sign, and no financing needed, as C4MH.com is a medical clinic, not a marketing company. Just $170 a month and $90 for follow-up labs. No surprises and no upsells. C4MH.com, the leader in low T care. Tell me your boy T-Kraz, Tom Krasnicky sent you.
An iHeartRadio Sports Report, presented by Mark Spain Real Estate.
From the Cool Today Weather Center, cooltoday.com.
This report is sponsored by Taco Bell.
We're looking at a 50% chance of morning showers today. Sunshine this afternoon. Our high right around 79. Overnight, partly cloudy skies. Our low will drop back to about 58. And then tomorrow and Friday, pretty much the same day. Sunshine, but much cooler. Our high right around 65, 67 degrees. Get weather info around the clock by searching News Radio WFLA on iHeartRadio. I'm John Thomas.
The Gordita Supreme is so back at Taco Bell in the $7 Lux Cravings Box, alongside the beefy 5-layer burrito, double stack taco, chips with nacho cheese sauce, and a medium drink at participating Taco Bell stores for a limited time only. While supplies last, drinks exclude freezes, tax extra.
Follow WDAE on social, Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Now, back to the Pat and Aaron Show on WDAE. Streaming live on Alexa and the free iHeartRadio app. Top headlines.
Time for today's top headlines, brought to you by Mark Spain Real Estate and Casey Warner's enormous amount of knowledge. What knowledge do you have for us this morning, young man?
So knowledgeable.
Oh, he is.
First things first, an overtime win for the Bolts in Pittsburgh, 3-2. Braden Point scored at the 3-minute, 58-second mark in overtime, and the Lightning rally to come back on a Tuesday night.
That's a great comeback. I mean, you're down 2-0 going into the third period. You come back and get that win.
Yeah.
A little revenge, even though he didn't get on the board, but Jake Gensel getting a little revenge on his former team. So overall, that's a good win for the Lightning.
We were talking a little bit about Gensel having his homecoming yesterday. Like you said, didn't really get anything on the board as far as any goals or anything. But listen, Braden Point, nice to have him back. Nice to have Braden Point back.
Yes,
he gets
it
2
is.
goals, and of course the overtime goal for the winner to get the Lightning over the top. So that's a guy that we're not telling you anything you don't know. We absolutely need in the lineup as much as possible.
I mean, this stat alone on Braden Point tells you how important he is. To your point, Pat, Braden Point, his 11th career overtime goal, that passes Marty St. Louis for the second most in Lightning history. So when we talk about clutch, he is as clutch as they get.
And his ability to carry the puck with speed is something that we just don't have a lot of on this team and haven't. Like, he's been that guy for this team for so long. And we saw it in that Stanley Cup final, right? When he was out in the Stanley Cup final, they had no answers for getting the puck through the neutral zone.
10th goal of the season for Braden Point. Definitely great to have him back. We got a fresh batch of college football playoff.
I love a fresh batch.
Fresh batch of college football playoff rankings out, and they are as follows. The number 9 seed Alabama would play at the number 8 seed Notre Dame. Winner of that one would play the number 1 seed Oregon. Number 12 seed BYU at number 5 seed Ohio State. The winner would play the 4 seed SMU. The 11 seed Ole Miss at the number 6 seed Penn State. The winner would play the number 3 seed Boise State, and then the 10 seed Miami Hurricanes at number 7 seed Indiana. The winner would play the 2nd seeded Texas.
I love the college football playoff. I keep bringing up Dave Portnoy's tweet calling it erotic when he first saw the bracket, because just to see a bracket for college football is so exciting. That said, if there's one thing I don't love about it, is that the rankings and the seedings are different. And I understand putting a premium on winning your conference, but at the same time, it's hard for me to see that a team that's ranked 12th could end up with a bye week, while a team that's 4th or 5th or whatever is going to have to play that first week. It's a little weird.
Is there anybody that you want to see in it that's not in it?
I mean, to a point, Colorado, right?
Boom.
I'm fascinated by it as much as Dion drives me crazy, and I think he's insane, and I'd even be reluctant to draft Shador because I don't want to deal with Dion. They're fascinating as much as they can be annoying.
How much do you think Dion and Shador potentially could be tied to each other?
I think it's a terrible idea for an organization.
I think the Cowboys are the only ones that it would make sense.
Yeah. ESPN's been pushing that narrative for a long time. Don't forget how much money they just gave Dak Prescott. All guaranteed. Hard to walk away. Hard to pay that guy that much, draft a kid in the first round.
Unless you can find a trading partner for Dak. Maybe.
On that contract, with the way he's played, good luck.
Well, they just gave him the contract.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Hard to move on from a guy you just paid that way. It's not like there's an easy out in the contract like the Giants have with Daniel Jones, or even the Buccaneers could have with Baker Mayfield. They just paid him all guaranteed. They have to build a roster. I mean, how much money do you want to put into one position? I know first-round picks don't make what they used to, but it's tough to build a roster if you've got a first-round pick, a quarterback, and another guy you're paying what you're paying Dak Prescott.
But in my mind, I mean, I think if we saw the Buffaloes, Colorado, get to the Big 12 title game, win it, and move on to the playoff, I think that would be very interesting storyline for college football.
Colorado coming in at number 16 at 8-2 in those rankings. And just for clarification here, Miami is ranked higher than SMU in the rankings, although SMU currently sits alone atop the ACC. So taking that into account, using SMU as the ACC champion, that means Boise State gets the projected 3 seed, not the 4 seed, and SMU gets the 4 seed because they are the conference champion.
Okay.
So, yeah, Tennessee is also ranked higher than SMU as well. Tennessee is at 11, but again, because there is a conference champion over them, SMU gets the first-round bye currently. And by the way...
hold on real quick. By the way, just to get back to Dion for a second, maybe you missed his comments, Aaron, unless you just don't trust him, because he's a super trustworthy guy. He said he's got his kickstand down.
Yeah, he said, I'm happy where I am, man. You're happy now. Your kickstand is down.
His kickstand is down.
Well, the thing about a kickstand is when you decide to ride the bike again, you can put the kickstand up.
Just kick it right up. It's so easy to kick it up.
When that much money comes your way, or a new bike comes, a shiny new bike, you just throw that kickstand and the bike away entirely.
The best part about it is if Dion bolts and goes anywhere else, NFL or otherwise, right, even to just do a bigger program, Dion's the guy who would look you right in the eye and go, yeah, easy to kick a kickstand up. Yeah, it was down. I kicked it up.
Yep.
Kicked it up, kicked it down. Good old kickstand.
Good old kickstand.
Good old kickstand.
Was that a haiku?
Gotta
It
love.
can be if you want it to be.
Love a kickstand.
All right, one more headline before we wrap this up. The Jets have fired general manager Joe Douglas following a 3-8 start. There's a lot of controversy going on over there in New York, and there's a report that said Joe Douglas wanted to bench Aaron Rodgers after Week 4. What in the world is going on, Aaron?
That's a stupid thing if that were the case. You want to bench Aaron Rodgers after Week 4 for what? For who? I mean, you just finish it out with Aaron Rodgers and you see where
Who's
it goes.
your backup right now in New York?
Tyrod Taylor.
Oh, there you go, man. Listen, you've said it yourself. When Tyrod is the backup, he always ends up playing. It's just part of the game.
You're an idiot, though, if you think that Woody Johnson is going to allow you, the guy he did everything for to bring him here in Aaron Rodgers, you think he's going to allow you to just bench him after Week 4. Stupid. And you lost your job. Part of the reason you lost your job because of it.
It's a solid organization they got going there.
What a
in New York,
mess.
in New Jersey, New York.
Who's the worst organization in football right now? You can make an argument for the Jets. You can make an argument for the Panthers.
It's still Carolina. It's still, listen.
Bears are up there.
Woody Johnson would probably have to do some crack to get as strange as homeboy.
I don't think you can say the Bears are. I get that conversation with the Bears and how bad they've been, but I don't think they're in that conversation with the worst in all of football.
I don't know. They're not that far off.
They have a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, and you know what they just did? They fired his offensive coordinator, which means he's about to have his second offensive coordinator in his rookie season. And then when they fire Eberflus in the offseason, he's going to have his third offensive coordinator when he starts his second season in the league. That, my friend, is not smart.
I said that just so you'd make that awesome point.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Listen, you want to make awesome points? Here's an awesome point right now. Our friend John Howard, he understands what you're going through if you lost your home or part of your home due to the hurricane. He got one of the hurricanes, I should say. He got a ton of water in his home after Hurricane Helene. So he's been through exactly what you've been through. And right now, if you need to either completely rebuild, God forbid, or just renovate that home that's been damaged, well, John Howard, believe me, he's the guy that you want to get help from because he's going through it. He's done a ton of research, and they've got loan products at HowardTeamHomeLoans.com that can work with your insurance payouts to get you back and get your home back to even better than before the storm. Also, if you happen to be renting and you were displaced due to the storm, you could be eligible for a 0% down payment with Howard Team Home Loans. And again, that's if you were renting and you were displaced and now you're thinking about buying, you get a 0% down payment, just like our veterans always do. And don't forget, John Howard, he excels when it comes to VA loans. As a matter of fact, he teaches other people how to do VA loans because he cares that much about our veterans and making sure that they get the loan that they deserve. It's the best loan you can get. Don't ever let anybody tell you not to use it. If you do, get the hell away from that person and go talk to John Howard. And we know even before the storms, a lot of you may have been dealing with a lot of the rising costs with everything with inflation, and maybe your pay isn't going up and things are getting a little bit tight. It might be time to consider a cash out refinance. So either whether you need a cash out refinance or a new home or just to renovate a home that was damaged, there's nobody better to talk to. Nobody you can trust more than my friend John Howard. Look him up, HowardTeamHomeLoans.com. If you're driving, just pull over and write it down, HowardTeamHomeLoans.com. When we return, we will read you the letter from the
620. Powered locally by Ferguson HVAC.
Pat Aaron Show, 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. Very frustrating morning as a Tampa Bay Rays fan because the Rays and the Pinellas County Commission, they're throwing jabs now back and forth, and it feels like we've gone from here to stay to maybe as bad as the relationship's ever been. And that is not good if you're a Rays fan. It's certainly not good for us. Here's the, we've got the dramatic music ready. Let's remember now. One paragraph each. I'll read the introduction in the first paragraph, but Casey, be ready. You got the letter up in there, Casey?
Yes, sir.
All right. Here it goes. We're gonna. It's what do you call it, Aaron? Book club.
This is book club.
Book club reading of the Tampa Bay Rays letter to the Pinellas County Commissioners yesterday. Dear Pinellas County Commissioners, thank you for the invitation to attend the November 19th BOCC meeting. We will attend the meeting and listen carefully. However, we want to let you know in advance that we will not be answering any questions. We do wish to clear up some apparent misunderstandings.
Baycare Ballpark in Pinellas County and other ballparks in the Tampa Bay.
You've already blown it, Aaron. I said I would read the introduction in the first paragraph.
My bad. That
Shame on
paused,
you.
and I felt like it was my turn.
No, you need a dramatic pause every now and then.
Sorry.
They're trying to clear up some apparent misunderstandings, Aaron.
All right, you take over that first paragraph. I do the second one.
Baycare Ballpark in Pinellas County and other ballparks in the Tampa Bay region were considered as potential homes for the 2025 Rays regular season. We determined that we could not get Baycare Ballpark into a condition where it could host regular season Major League games by opening day in March. Although weather can be a challenge and will be a challenge, we are fortunate to be able to play the 2025 season at George M. Steinbrenner Field and not be forced to leave the Tampa Bay region.
We have been in regular communication with county commissioners and the county administrator over the last weeks and months. We also have answered or returned every phone call and message. At no point were we given any indication that the BOCC might choose to delay the supplemental bond resolution on October 29th. That resolution was a formality to be adopted by the commission that approved the project in July, and it was known and accepted that this adoption was needed prior to the November 5th election for the 2028 timeline to be met.
Prior to and following Hurricanes Helene and Milton, the Rays successfully met every one of our obligations required to move forward. Those include completing 50% design documents, securing financing, and more.
When Hurricane Milton took the roof off of Tropicana Field, we were devastated. We took solace in the fact that we had a clear, approved path to our new state-of-the-art ballpark in our hometown for the 2028 Major League Baseball season. We knew we would have to figure out a way to make it through to the 2025 to 2027 seasons, but we believed we could manage knowing our future home was in the works.
As we have informed the county administrator and St. Pete Mayor Ken Welch, the county's failure to finalize the bonds last month ended the ability for a 2028 delivery of the ballpark. As we have made clear at every step of this process, a 2029 ballpark delivery would result in significantly higher costs that we are not able to absorb alone.
We informed our many architects, builders, and consultants that our agreement had not been honored by the county. There were dozens of people who were about to relocate to St. Petersburg along with their families. There were large contracts with long lead times. We suspended work on the entire project, the ballpark, and the historic gas plant district development.
The Rays organization is saddened and stunned by this unfortunate turn of events. We have put in decades of work and have spent more than $50 million to bring this historic project to reality, a project that had been approved by the city of St. Petersburg and Pinellas County. Now, that enormous investment of human and financial capital has been jeopardized by the county's failure to live up to its July agreement.
We remain grateful to our fans and our entire community while we are focused on preparing for a unique 2025 season. We stand ready to work on a new solution with any and all willing partners to preserve the future of Major League Baseball in Tampa Bay for generations to come. Sincerely, Brian Auld, president of the Rays. Sincerely, Matt Silverman, president of the Rays. There you go. Music done.
You know what I heard?
What'd you hear?
The very last part.
About the future, willing partners to preserve the future of Major League Baseball in Tampa Bay?
That's right. And we may have a willing partner in studio with us this morning as Hillsborough County Commissioner Ken Hagen. He will join us for the entirety of the 8 o'clock hour. And maybe, just maybe, we might have a solution.
The second paragraph where they say they've been in regular communication with county commissioners, they've returned every phone call. According to Commissioner Latvala, that's not true.
Yeah.
So someone here is not telling the truth. I don't know who that someone is, but someone in this situation is not telling the entire truth. I don't know who it is.
I don't know, and I'm not going to call Chris Latvala or anybody else from the Pinellas County Commission a liar. I know just via the meetings that we've had with Brian Auld and Matt Silverman that I trust those guys.
Here's where, in that paragraph as well, where I will give the Rays, I will side with the Rays. There's a big reason why. It's not just the couple weeks of the delay that was, oh, no, now we can't build the stadium. The key note in there is they wanted it done before the November 5th election. Why is that important? Well, there are new commissioners that have been voted in that are not for this deal. They're going to vote against this. So for the Rays, I understand there is a sense of they need to get this done now so you don't have to worry about those new commissioners that are going to vote against the deal. I totally understand that.
I don't like any of this. It does not feel good, and I think we're going to need solutions, Aaron. And I'll tell you what, yesterday I had a crazy idea about how we could potentially save the Rays and have them land right here in Tampa. Well, I guess we're in Clearwater, but have them land in Tampa where we live, or at least close to where I live and where you live. But also, our friend Ryan Valdez called in, and he had a very unique idea that I hated until I heard it, and then I kind of loved it. I'm going to tell you, they're both crazy, far-fetched ideas. I'm going to tell you about both of them, you listening and you, Aaron Jacobson. You're going to tell me which one is crazier on the other side.
Okay.
Because that's what has to happen. We need to find solutions. It's just like when you're injured, Aaron Jacobson. You got to find solutions. You got to find ways to make sure you can get over that injury. And luckily, when you live in the Tampa Bay region, solutions are easy to find because you've got access to world-class orthopedic care right here in Tampa Bay with Florida Orthopedic.
Pat and Aaron Show on WDAE. Streaming live on Alexa and the free iHeartRadio app.
Pat Aaron 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. We got a lot of buttons in here. Sometimes I hit some of them, sometimes I hit others. But we're live on the internet. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. We got a brand new one. So find us, like, subscribe. Make sure you tell all your friends, your enemies, everyone. Jeff, we see your phone call. We'll get to you probably after the top of the hour because I do have some very important stuff to go over with Aaron Jacobson here.
But, Jeff, even if you do hang up or hang on, I do want to hear when we start the 7 o'clock hour. I think you have some interesting things to say. So either hang tight or call back.
But yesterday, Aaron, I said that there might be a Hail Mary we need to try to throw. And I texted our friend Ken Hagen about this, and he's going to join us in the 8 o'clock hour. We can talk to him about how unlikely this is. Because I got via our texts the idea that he thinks it's pretty unlikely. And by the way, I think it's extremely unlikely. That's what Hail Marys are. But the idea that I brought up yesterday on the show, Aaron, is, as we know, Jeffrey Vinnick has sold controlling interest, and it's going to take a couple of years before he gives up the reins, even though at the end of the day, like, he's still going to be involved, and they're going to kind of keep everything going the way he's done it. But he just recently sold controlling interest of the Tampa Bay Lightning, Jeff Vinnick, who we, of course, love and is a hero, to two other very rich gentlemen, right? In, Doug Ostrover and also Mark Lipschultz, who are also incredibly rich billionaires who, by the way, I imagine the three of them have some very rich billionaire friends. And the argument that I made, Aaron, yesterday was that if I'm one of these guys, right, if I'm taking over the Tampa Bay Lightning, I'm becoming an owner of this franchise, is it better for me financially if the Tampa Bay market is a great sports city? And to me, when you lose a franchise, it really takes a notch out of you as a sports city. It changes your city and the way it's viewed as a sports town.
I agree completely.
Is it better for me if I own the Lightning if the Rays are still here? I think the answer is yes. Is it better for me if this ballpark maybe lands in Tampa? I think the answer is yes. And by the way, they're taking over the team from somebody in Jeff Vinnick who we all kind of view as a heroic figure. We love Jeff Vinnick. And if you're taking over for that guy, if you're Doug Ostrover or Mark Lipschultz, you will never be viewed like Jeff Vinnick is viewed. It's very difficult what he's done.
You do something drastic.
Unless you help save the Tampa Bay Rays for Tampa Bay. That's one idea that I had.
Love the theory, love the solution. Not as easy. Not easy. You just paid all that money and ponied up for one franchise, and by the way, don't even have control of that franchise yet. And now we're talking about buying an even more expensive franchise.
I'm not talking about buying
Rays.
the team at all. I'm not talking about buying the team at all. The Rays have told us it may take investors, right? Doesn't mean you own the team. Doesn't mean you're even buying controlling interest. May take investors to keep the team here and pay for the ballpark.
Yeah, but Stu will take credit for that, I think.
That's fine. I don't care who takes credit.
You're talking about like Vinnick becoming a Vinnick stature, Vinnick type of legend. And if Stu Sturmer's going to take credit for the work that these guys come in and do by ponying up some money, then what's the point?
But we'll all know. If it all comes from them, we'll listen.
You'll know. I'll know. Not everyone will know.
Fine. Enough people will know. And it is part. And again, it's not the legacy part isn't why they make the move. The financial part. Is it better for me if I own the Lightning if Tampa is a better city? Is it better for me if I own the Lightning if it's viewed as a great sports city? And I think the answer is yes.
I think the product the Lightning put out there, as long as they continue to build off some of the franchise players and keep doing that for generations to come, that the Lightning speak for itself. They're their own entity. Amalie Arena sells out every single game. So I don't think – I see where you're saying.
It's more than that, though. It's more than just ticket sales. It's not just baseball. Yeah, it is.
Like the popularity of Tampa Bay Lightning hockey, I don't know how much the Rays impact that one way or another.
I think again, how valuable the city is or how the city is looked at is part of the equation. And I think what the city is like, if you're talking about helping move a team to Ybor City, you're talking about a total renovation. You're talking like we're seeing in St. Pete. It would be the same thing in Tampa Bay or the drops that we did see at one point in Ybor City. You're talking about really changing the landscape of Tampa. And that, to me, if you're one of those guys, is is valuable.
It hurts St. Pete more than it hurts the city of Tampa by not having the Rays.
Sure.
The city of St. Pete is used to that revenue. They're used to having the Rays. They're used to having people using it as a destination to go watch baseball. Whether it's visiting fans or not. The Tampa Bay, or to be in Tampa, Jeff Vinnick has already transformed the downtown area. Where I live in Channelside 10 years ago, even less, it was nothing. It was nothing going on there. And now everything is going on in Water Street.
But imagine transforming the Ybor City area as well and having your hands in that. You're going to make money off of that. It's not just about the money on the ballpark. It's not just about making the Lightning greater. These guys are investors. It's what they do. It's why Jeff Vinnick did what he did with Water Street, right? Why wouldn't these guys want to have some kind of impact like that?
What's the other idea?
All right, thank you, because I wanted to get to that as well. Ryan Valdez called in and brought up a multi-use stadium because the Bucs are going to need a new stadium soon as well. Originally, I'm like, I hate this idea. It's stupid. Then he brought up the fact that you can, in today's stadiums, they have the technology where you can literally roll fields out and you can take the baseball field and roll it out of the stadium for football games or vice versa. And I was like, well, great, but can you move walls around?
They can move the wall. They can move the wall.
There's technology, and apparently people tweeted us, texted us, look at what they're doing over, and there's places in Europe where they've got this crazy technology where the stadium moves. Maybe and again, this is so far-fetched and such a long shot, maybe even more of a long shot than my idea, but a state-of-the-art, the most state-of-the-art stadium in the country that transforms not just shape but size, the field, everything from a baseball stadium into a football stadium that is great for both. And apparently technology is there. I'm not smart enough, but technology is there where literally you can move the walls for baseball so it's not weird. You can move the walls for football so it looks like a football stadium. If they could seriously put something together like that was revolutionary, yeah, I'm in.
I like that. I don't know how the Bucs would have to be in partnership as well with the Rays to make that happen.
You saw their post welcoming to the neighborhood. They're partners now.
And they would want that. They would need to want that to happen. Also, the optics of a huge football stadium that's going to seat way more than a baseball stadium, especially here in Tampa. The optics do matter of who's going to the game and what it looks like. And I think the 20,000...
That's a great point.
The 20,000 stadium, the optics of it, or whatever, 25,000, would look so much better because it will look so much more packed. It will become an embarrassing talking point if you've got tens of thousands of open seats.
Unless
at that
part
place.
of the transformation is a shrinkage.
Yeah, well, you'll have to talk to somebody about the cold water they'll have to pour on that stadium for that.
It comes down, the seats get lower, and all of a sudden it's 20,000 seats, and the rest just kind of go like a slinky, boop, and those extra seats, they're not even visible. And then when it's football time, it expands out like a balloon, and now we football it.
Love the creativity. None of them are really viable options, if we're being realistic about it.
I think the
first one is more of a realistic option, but
it's a total long shot. I get it.
Long shot. And that's why I'm interested to have Hillsborough County Commissioner Ken Hagen on the show a little bit later on to talk about this stuff and to talk about what the chances are Tampa could make a run for this again. But what we're going to do in the 7 o'clock hour is go over that county commission meeting yesterday, some of the audio from it. My overall take on yesterday, Pat, is the Rays do not want to be here. They do not want to be here anymore.
I don't think that's it.
They're done. They're done.
I think they wasted a lot of time and money if they don't want to be here. I don't believe it.
Money they'll get back on the other end with a new city they go to.
Yeah, maybe, but they'll get it here too. I just don't know why you would have wasted all this time and energy.
Great question.
People's efforts and the money and to me, this is a lot of nonsense to just say, you know what, we want to leave. They've been here forever, not getting the ballpark. They could have easily said they wanted to leave before now.
That letter yesterday to say that a couple weeks changes everything. To me, tells me the Rays didn't want to see a natural disaster. I'm not putting that on them, but they're happy something came in and disrupted this timeline.
Yeah,
they don't want to see anybody die. They don't want to see natural disaster. I'm not saying that, but something coming in and breaking up this process wasn't too bad for them.
Yeah, I disagree with that part completely.
That's fine.
I think they do want to be here. All right, we all want to be here, and for some of us, it's been a rough time being here the last few months because of all these storms. And our friends at the Rhino Home Services, they know it's been a very tough storm season for a lot of people. That's why they're going to be gifting one lucky homeowner a brand new fully enclosed gutter system. All you have to do is register today to win at 953WDAE.com.
It's so easy, and let the Rhino put water where it belongs, away from your home. Learn more about the Rhino Home Services at therhino.com. And don't forget, like Pat said, register to win at 953WDAE.com. The Rhino Home Services, they are here for you. They are here for our community.
A loaded 7 o'clock hour starts on the other side.
Streaming live on Alexa and the free iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back to the Pat and Aaron Show. Aaron Jacobson, Pat Donovan, Casey Warner. It's good to be back after a couple days of vacation. Congratulations again to my friend Austin Legler and his lovely wife Jamie, who just got married.
Legs. You guys call him Legs?
He's Legs. No, I never really did, but
Damn.
yeah.
Seems so easy.
I know. Now I'm going to start doing that. County commissioners in Pinellas County yesterday voted 6-1 to delay a decision on bonds for a second time. Commissioner Renee Flowers was the lone no vote. The bond issue will be taken up again on December 17th, so about a month from now.
Why are we doing it again? I don't know why they voted yesterday.
You've got now, and this is where the Rays were concerned, you've got several new commissioners here who are against what is going on with this vote. And these county commissioners, these new county commissioners, several of them, this is what the Rays were concerned about. They knew that these people would be a no vote. So they said yesterday they don't want to be rushed into a decision, especially after the hurricanes. The agreement with the Rays, it was something that I understand they wanted this to be voted on before the election, and there's a reason why they wanted it voted on before the election. But the commissioners are now saying that there's been a lack of communication with the county from owner Stu Sternberg and everyone with the Rays. The Rays put out a letter hours before the vote yesterday noting that was not true. They've been in constant communication is what they're saying. And they feel every single phone call they have gotten to or they've gotten back to.
Maybe they're in communication with the commissioners that got voted out.
I mean, I don't know, but somebody is telling a lie here. Somebody is not telling the truth. And the chair, Kathleen Peters, says they are not great partners talking about the Rays. So there's a lot of bad blood between the Rays and the county commission. And I found this to be very interesting. Jeff, we'll get to your call in just a second. But I found this to be very interesting. This is from yesterday. Pinellas County Commission Vice Chair Brian Scott. And he's clearly not happy with the Rays and what's been going on with this. Take a listen.
Just a second. Hold on.
Oh, all right. Just a second. We'll have that for you in just a second here. But, yeah.
All right, here it is.
Here it is.
So at our last commission meeting on the 29th, October, we voted to delay till today for a month, or 3 weeks rather, just because, we weren't even a month away after a hurricane, and we just wanted some clarity as to where the Rays were going to play for 3 years and what the future of Tropicana Field was going to be. The day prior to that meeting, I reached out to Brian All with the Rays and had a discussion with him. And I didn't bring it up at the time because I thought the substance to that might cause unproductive conversation, in the media, in the court of public opinion, and, finger pointing and blaming, et cetera, et cetera. Unfortunately, Mr. Sternberg does not share the same communication strategy that I do, as evidenced by this.
Tampa Bay Times is holding up.
By saying, we killed the deal by delaying the vote, and the action sent a clear message that they lost the county as a partner. So, to be clear, we did not vote to kill the deal, nor should a 3-week delay in a 30-plus year commitment be a deal killer to begin with. So that's just a totally ridiculous statement. The delay was not because of lack of support for the Rays or our partnership, but it was a necessary due diligence to ensure the best interests of our residents and our taxpayers were met, which is our duty to carefully evaluate all aspects to ensure fiscal responsibility and long-term benefits to our community. As a result of Mr. Sternberg's attacking this commission, which is exactly what he did, I do feel it is appropriate to share my details of my call with Mr. Ald. I called him to ask him just very simply, what are your plans, what are your intentions for the next 3 years? Well, I got a non-conclusive answer to that question. What I got was it's MLB, it's the players union, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I further pressed him and said, look, myself and likely a lot of other elected officials would find some confidence and some comfort if you could just make a public statement affirming the partnership with the county and the city and saying that while there's still a lot of unknowns, you can't make any specific commitments of where you're going to play, that your first priority would be to play in Pinellas County, or at least stay in the region and play as close to Pinellas County as you possibly could. And that further, putting some heads in beds for help our hotel occupancy would help us pay for the stadium. The response I got back, I wasn't expecting. The response I got back was, I'm doing everything I can to hold this deal together because our revenue projections and our cost estimates have all gone in the wrong direction, and we are on the hook for all cost overruns. So this was the first indication I had that the Rays might be having second thoughts.
All right, let's stop there.
For a way out.
So might be looking for a way out was the last thing that he said. And I don't think he's very wrong there. I think all together here, both sides are to blame. I think you look at the commissioners, they don't have the votes. They do not have the votes. And I don't know what a month delay is going to do. Now, they said they want to count.
The Rays are already backing out. Why do we vote at all?
Well,
the Rays have said this can't get done now.
If they would, I disagree. If they would have voted yesterday, now what we saw yesterday, the delay, now it's dead. A month, especially after they said 3 weeks, kills the deal. I think you could have made an argument if the commissioners came forward yesterday and voted no on the delay and they moved forward with the bonds. I think now we could have talked about, okay, the Rays can figure out that 3 weeks, and if they can't, it's 1,000% on the Rays. If they can't figure that out.
If the Rays were going to do that, if they were going to change course because of the vote yesterday, then that letter was absolutely stupid. You can't send that letter if you're going to allow the vote yesterday. If they were going to vote yesterday, yes. And you're
it would be no to move. They would vote yes for the bonds, but they wouldn't delay the meeting yesterday.
Right, yeah. If they were to vote for the bonds yesterday, then the Rays would go, oh, okay, since you voted for it, we're in. You look idiotic for sending that letter. To me, that letter was like, you blew it and we're out.
I think it was they knew they read the room, they knew what was about to happen, and they went out and they got ahead of it. And that's
we knew,
why that letter.
We were talking about it. I mean, you weren't here, but we were saying because that was the writing on the wall, and that was everything that was being reported, is that they were going to delay it again. So that's what we were saying yesterday. Is like it's probably going to get delayed again. And it's going to blow this whole thing up. And that's exactly what happened.
But if you didn't have the votes going into it, I don't know what they think they're going to catch up the new commissioners on what's been going on. I mean, that's what they said. Scott said, hopefully we'll allow some time for our new commissioners to get caught up to speed on this. They should be caught up to speed on this already.
Seriously, what the hell are you waiting for?
And nothing's going to change that mind. In a month from now, it's going to be, they're probably going to come back with a similar result. And
just shut it down.
Yeah,
shut it down.
And that's it. And that's where the Rays are scared, and I understand that. But I also think, and this is just my opinion, I think the Rays aren't devastated that all this has transpired, and now they have an excuse to get out, and they don't have to look like the bad guys. They're trying to not look like the bad guys, but they do not want to put everything forward to make it happen here.
You just said how difficult it's going to be to get out, right? Because of the TV market, and they mentioned that during the Pinellas County Commission. I think it was Latvala who actually was like, very like, well, they can't just leave. It's not that easy. Like, that's what they're standing on is like, oh, well, it won't be easy for them to leave, so let's just screw around and wait forever to make our decision. The decision was made. It was already approved. Just push it through. Like, I'm sorry. To me, the Rays, the way they're handling it is not right, but the fact that we had a press conference and there are billboards that stay here to stay all over the place, like, come on. What the hell are we doing?
I think they're both at fault. Let's go to Jeff, who's been waiting a while. I want to get him in before the break. Good morning, Jeff.
Morning. I'm basically a long-term construction guy. I've worked all over the country. I understand big projects. So if you don't have financing, then you can't start the process of building the stadium. And that stadium's not going to get built in a minute. There's a lot of components that have to go into building it. There's a lot of long-term contracts that have to be done with subcontractors. It's another, it's a huge project. So it's not a quick turnaround on any parts of the major components.
Yeah, I don't think anybody thought it would be, Jeff.
No. With no, you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars in just single components, a roof system or walls or, beyond the time frame of people, it's the commitment for the general project. So until you have the financing, you can't commit to start forward with the project. So now that the financing has been delayed, this project is going to be delayed until the finance is done. And at one point, I thought, I'm a Rays fan. I'm not a part of the construction project, but I'm a Rays fan. At one point, I thought the project was a go, and it was good to go. And I'm sure the Rays thought the same thing. So your construction company that's running the project, they can't commit to any of these components until you get a hard date to start.
Do delays? Let me ask you something,
deadline.
Jeff, do delays happen in this line of work? In your line of work, are delays pretty familiar? Did that happen a lot? Are they common?
They are common.
There you go. There you go.
But,
That's it. It's something that, and thank you for the call, Jeff. And if you want to call back, actually, in a couple minutes, we'll take your call again. We are against, and I really apologize because you did wait in there, and I think you got your point across there. But, the delays happen, man. And these people, I'm not buying it that's it. Like these lives of our construction workers and the people involved, they have these plans, and I get they did, right? For it to be delayed by a little bit, that's part of this process.
I also think the Rays can't just be lackadaisical like the Pinellas County Commission is and be like, oh, yeah, take your time. Take as long as you want. Because if that happens, it's never going to get done, clearly.
On the text line, Jeff waited 30 minutes for that. Thanks, Captain Obvious. No, Jeff, we appreciate your call. Listen, here, I want to let you all know about my friends at Reese Windows and Doors. Do not wait for another bad hurricane to ruin your house. Prepare now with Reese Windows. They have been serving the community for a very long time here, and they want to make sure that they're helping you out as well. So they're going to make sure your windows are installed in just 6 to 8 weeks. Reach out to them now, reesewindows.com. That's REECE windows.com, reesewindows.com. On the other side, if you want to win tickets.
Austin in Pinellas Park, good morning.
Good morning, boys. How we doing?
Doing great. The vote yesterday, not so great. Pinellas County Commissioners voted. There were 7 total votes. How did that vote go? What was the count?
It went 6-1, and they delayed it again till either the 13th or 17th of December.
It's the 17th. You didn't even need that addition. You are the man. You are going to the Valspar Championship, my friend. Congratulations.
Hey, thanks, boys. Let's go Bucs. If the Giants score more than 10, it's an embarrassment.
Danny DeVito. Tommy DeVito. Tommy DeVito. Danny Dimes is down on the bench.
Austin, Austin, make sure you hold on so Casey can get your information. That was actually my trivia question yesterday for the Valspar tickets was what is the nickname of the Giants quarterback who will start against the Bucs on Sunday?
I forgot it now.
No, you do not. His parents,
Italian Stallion. No, that's his agent.
Think about this. His parents famously were outside making sandwiches for Giants fans before games last year.
No, I remember, and he's got this whole the whole celebration with the fingers like he's an Italian.
His family was making sandwiches for people outside the game. That has
Tommy Cutlets.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, all right. And
this
Danny
guy comes
Dimes.
into me yesterday and he's like, "What's a chicken cutlet?"
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Dude, chicken cutlet. You are missing out, my friend. The best. All right. Veal cutlet, too. Can you call who I asked you to call, please, Pat?
I can do that.
Because I'm drawing the ire of one specific person here who I didn't expect this morning, as close as I am to this person.
You didn't expect that they would disagree with you or that they would be so against you?
So against me. And the person I'm talking about not only is disagreeing with me, this person is so close to me, they could text me and tell me that I'm wrong, but they're texting the text line.
I don't like that you're giving it away to this person that we're calling them. It'd be more fun if they didn't know.
We're going to find out in a second anyway. But I think the Rays are at fault. In a way, both the Commissioners and the Rays are to blame here. This person we're calling thinks I'm completely wrong. The Rays are not at fault. This is all on the Pinellas County Commissioners, which I just disagree with here.
I had a bit of a misdial here, and unfortunately there's no back button.
But yeah, we're dialing out to this person now because I want to find out why they
are
so quick to put this all on the Pinellas County Commissioners when Stu Sternberg and the Rays have made this process challenging going all the way back to 2018, actually before that, when this stadium could have been done.
Don't forget, you got to say you're live on the air. They could sue.
Yeah, it's true.
They know litigators, this person.
I know they're listening, so.
Good morning.
You're live on the air.
Good morning, beautiful.
Stop it.
Good morning.
This is my mother. You're ripping me apart on the text line. You're not even texting me personally. You're just putting all the dirty laundry out there on the text line for us to see. So what? You don't think Stu Sternberg and the Rays have any blame and fault in this at all?
I didn't say zero blame, but I don't understand how you can be blaming them. I don't get it. I don't see it. Because, the lesser, I don't get it.
Why would you put that out right before? I don't understand that.
I think that because, why not? They got to defend. It's also the frustration.
Well, I think, Mom. I think the argument is you should have done that as soon as you knew there was an issue back in October and not waited until yesterday. But let me ask you this. What do you think of Aaron's assertion that this is all about the Rays and Stu Sternberg just wanted to leave?
I totally disagree. And, I am absolutely not a fan of Stu Sternberg at all. But knowing the organization, having seen Brian Auld speaking about this issue when I went up there for a meeting, obviously that was before the hurricane, I do not believe that's the case. I think that's really twisted to think that that's the reason.
Listen,
you're twisted.
Listen, I'm your son. So if I'm twisted, it came from somewhere.
Okay, but by the way, what I thought you were going to ask me about was the fact that I was trolling you about sending you the picture of Sean Mania's wedding, which happened on the 16th.
I'm over Sean Mania. Let it go.
I can't.
You got to let it go. No more Instagram messages. You got to just let this thing go for my sake.
You have to talk to him.
I know. I'm aware.
I love the way you say can't, by the way, Mom.
Can't. All right, eye on the prize. Thank you. I'm not wrong here. Stu is to blame in a way. I not completely blameless, but I appreciate you fighting against your son on my own show. Thank you.
Mom, I love you for being so
welcome.
right.
Goodbye.
Love you too.
So I
love you too from your mom.
Yeah, I know. She's on one today. Now she's against me. On the text line, Aaron, you are wrong. I'm with Mom on this one. It's not the Ray's fault this time. The Ebor project was Ray's fault. This one not. But it goes back to, we can go back to the Ebor project. Why did that fall through? And then Stu Sternberg was allowed to put all this money up for this redevelopment deal. He wants the money from the redevelopment deal. And I totally understand that. But what's been happening here right now, post-hurricane, there are circumstances with a natural disaster where, just like the Pinellas County Commission, they're dealing with some things right now. The Rays are going to have to look at that and go, okay, some delays are to be expected here. Now, the commission, I agree, and I called in with about Lavala on Friday morning to the show. The commission is, I don't want this to think that I'm like on their side.
Sounds like it. Sounds like they're on their side.
They are wrong. They are not helping this at all. This should have been done before the election. But with that being said, I don't feel like the movements made by the Rays since that, and I don't think what we've heard tells me the Rays are all in on the Bay Area. They want us to think they're all in on the Bay Area, and the reality is...
I think they are.
The reality is, for me, they never have been all in, ever. And that's a problem.
I think you can argue when they brought up the stupid Montreal idea that was the case. But other than that, I think they do want to stay here. I don't think that's the issue.
We'll continue to talk about it. County Commissioner in Hillsborough County, Ken Hagen, will join us in the 8 o'clock hour. But before we do that,
I want to remind you about our wonderful friends at Suncoast Credit Union. They are amazing. And the reason why we love working with them is because of the way that they give back. They're so much a part of this community. It's part of their DNA, giving back to the community. We tell you about it all.
The lowly New York Giants and a quarterback that hasn't played in a long time in Tommy DeVito. Started.
Hey guys. Yeah, I think it should, and I think just in general, kind of getting a week to reset after a 4-game losing streak should help. I think they're going to be getting a little healthier, and I do. I think that they had a rough go of it going into the bye week, but they were playing some real good teams, and coming out of the bye, they'll be playing some really bad teams. To be honest with you, so I think that should help, and we'll see if the Bucs can get back on track here. Because these are two teams that both haven't won in over a month, so someone's got to win.
When you look at what the Atlanta Falcons looked like this past Sunday and the two teams' schedules moving forward, is it crazy to think the Bucs could still win this division? Because I think they can.
I don't think it's crazy at all, and I do kind of. I sat back and kind of wondered yesterday whether it's because I didn't watch the Bucs play this weekend, but I'm coming into this week thinking that they've got a real good shot. I think, they're technically a game and a half back. They're, the Falcons are 6-5, Bucs are 4-6. Falcons, I believe, are on a bye this week.
They are.
So if the Bucs win, there'll be a game back, but with the tiebreaker, it's 2 games. But even still, I know the Falcons have. I know the Vikings, the Commanders. I know they have one other tough game in there. That's going to be a difficult one for them. And the Bucs really kind of have it easy. I think it might actually be the Chargers. The Bucs do play.
Chargers and Vikings are next.
Yeah, and so I think there is a path for the Bucs to get back in this thing, which is crazy to think. But I haven't been impressed with the Falcons in the last couple of weeks, especially in that game against the Broncos. So, we'll see. If they turn it around again and save their season, get to the playoffs, and win the division again, you kind of will go into next year thinking, all right, can we just avoid this? Can we avoid this whole, mid-season slump and having to turn around every year?
You and everyone over at Pewter Report, you did a roundtable yesterday, and the question was, what's the Bucs trap game down the stretch outside of that Chargers game, which I don't think anyone looks at as a trap game. So I'll ask you, Bailey, what's your opinion on the biggest opportunity for a trap game down the stretch?
I went a little, I don't know, I went a little off the script here, and I went with that home game in Week 17 against the Panthers. I do believe the Bucs will come out of the bye week, pretty hot. I think they'll beat the Giants. They'll beat the Panthers on the road on the first weekend in December. But I think that rematch might end up being one that, you kind of get into a spot where you can't overlook a team that you just beat a few weeks earlier. You've got Dave Canales looking for a little bit of a revenge game in his return to Tampa, knows Todd Bowles well, knows the defense well. And it'll be one of those where I think the Bucs will be in a spot potentially by then to almost, win the next 2 games and get in, or at least give themselves a good shot. And you just kind of are afraid that to set up that do-or-die Week 18 game, they kind of fall short the way they did last year in Week 17.
Given the struggles defensively, do you think if they were to get to sizable leads against teams like the Giants, like the Panthers, like the Raiders, they might try some different and unique things to try to figure out what they can do a little bit better defensively? And I have one actually that came to mind last night, and it sounds crazy, but could potentially, on obvious passing downs, the answer at middle linebacker be Mike Edwards?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that there's definitely an opportunity to try some different things because it can't really get worse than what it's been.
Yeah.
KJ Britt has been struggling at linebacker especially, and I do think they'll run some more dime. They have more opportunity to run dime defense with the reintroduction of Mike Edwards. So, yeah, I don't think it's crazy. I think that if you could take a linebacker off the field and get another DB out there, it's not the wildest thing to consider because this is it's probably – I mean, there's been a lot of weak points on this defense, but I think that middle linebacker spot has been one of the bigger struggles over the last, several weeks.
Bailey, I'm looking at your Twitter, and I saw you have one pin. I don't know how I've never seen this. You have one pin at the top from 2017. Keep in mind that year, 2017. He said, pretty cool that the Bucs will get to win Super Bowl 55 in their own stadium. Called that 3 years before that ever happened. You would expect that tweet to go viral. Nobody picked up on that, Bailey.
Yeah, it was weird because at the time for me, for what it felt like at the time, it did go a little bit, viral. Because some people picked up on it. I had a bunch of strangers saying weird things to me, and I had the what if I don't know? It's the opposite of the cold takes one. Is it they already knew that one account. They picked up on it, but yeah, it didn't pick up the traction that maybe it should have. But I mean, to be fair to that, it was one of those things where the Bucs or the NFL announced that Super Bowl 55 would be in Tampa, so I just threw a tweet up there.
No, don't say that.
The Bucs are gonna win.
Don't say that.
All
You
right,
predicted it.
I didn't say that.
You predicted this thing.
I knew Tom Brady was going to come to the Bucs in 2020
yes.
and do it, but
yes.
I made no money off of it. Apparently.
Apparently.
Do the Bucs need to make the playoffs for Todd Bowles to save his job, or does 9 wins and not quite getting in based off all the injuries and stuff like that still give him another chance?
That's where I think it's a little bit of a gray area. That's a great question because I think the whole idea was, they needed to show some improvement this year, and that could mean, I think if they go 10-7 and just barely miss out on the playoffs, I think his job is safe. They improved 1 win, and just given the landscape in the NFC, they weren't able to make it. But 9-8 again, but not making the playoffs technically is an improvement. I don't know if they'll give him the crutch of the injuries, whether that's fair or not is open for debate. But that's where I think you got to get into a gray area where it might be something similar to, all right, we don't want to lose in Jameis' second year. We don't want to lose Dirk Cutter. We want to get some continuity here. They don't want to lose Liam Cohen. So if they're going to have to make a move to promote him to head coach, they might have to do that, even at 9-8.
Make sure you check out all the work from Bailey Adams and everyone over at Pewter Report, at Pewter Report, pewterreport.com. And to see that pinned tweet from 2017, go to at BaileyJAdams22. I'm going to retweet it right now, Bailey. We're going to get it going again. Everyone retweet it, okay? We're going to get that thing going viral years later. Thank you, Bailey. We'll catch up with you later.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Bailey.
One thing I also do want to catch you up all on is, what's happening this week. What's getting going again. We are back, baby. Tampa Bay Downs is back in action. The season is starting.
What's today, Aaron?
It's today. I do with vacation and everything. Oh, my gosh. I might go to the Downs today.
It's also Wednesday today, right?
Wednesday. What about it?
Isn't it free on Wednesday?
It's free on Wednesday. I knew that, but I was like, I wonder where you were going with that.
Sorry.
I was getting there in a little bit here. Free on Wednesday. Today is free. Season is starting. It's here. Experience the thrill of the best live thoroughbred racing around. Tampa Bay Downs. Gates open at 11 o'clock. Post time around 12:15. Like Pat said, admission is free on Wednesdays. They've gotten, coming up here in just a little bit, in a couple weeks, on December 7th, the $125,000 inaugural stakes and the Sandpiper Stakes. Don't want to miss that. Also, the Florida Thoroughbred Breeders and Owners Association, City of Ocala, Florida, the Sire Stakes on December 14th. Easy to get to on Racetrack Road, and you can see all the schedule and all the great things happening at Tampa Bay Downs, tampabaydowns.com. Got to check out the food, got to check out the action, place some bets, take your friends, have some drinks, have some fun, and win some money. And it's only going to happen at Tampa
iHeartRadio app.
Game over.
Under.
See, I told you it was over.
Are you ready?
Time for a little over-under brought to you by HowardTeamHomeLoans.com and our friend John Howard over there.
He's
do we
the
have?
best.
What do we have going on? I do want to mention as well, on top of that, while we have some time, Pat, not only endorsed John Howard, but you also endorsed Mazda of Clearwater.
That's right.
I went over there last week, and you were the one that pushed me in that direction, the right direction, as you should have, because I needed to get a new vehicle. And I got to tell you, the best car, well, I leased it, but the best car purchasing experience I've ever had in my life.
I've told you that for how long?
Not even close. Not even close. Everything I wanted, the price range, the car that I wanted, done, signed, sealed, delivered that day. And you know me, I don't like to be in I don't like to waste time. They don't waste your time over there.
Yeah.
If you want to hang out and take time, they'll take time with you. If you were in a hurry, they'll go through the process. But Ember, shout out. And by the way, I'm not endorsing them. This is a personal shout out to Ember, who did an amazing job with me over there. So if you see Ember, you're at Mazda Clearwater, but everybody over there will do a great job for you.
Wait until you go get service and you see how amazing it is while you're getting service. It's unbelievable.
Yep, I went through the Mazda 3, so now Pat and I, even though mine's a 2025, we have the same
I'm so jealous.
car. I want to show you it
I want the wireless connectivity so bad because I got to plug in still.
Yep, you'll have to ride with me.
You said red interior too?
Yeah.
Oh, man,
will you
I'm
come sniff
very
it?
jealous.
Will you come sniff the new car smell after?
I will.
Nice.
Yeah, I will. Have you used the hold? Are you on the hold button yet?
I've not used the hold button yet.
Dude.
No.
It's life changing. I'm telling you.
All right. Well, we're going to go down after. You're going to check out the car. But Ember, well done. What do we have in over-under?
Yeah, I can't wait to check out that car as well. All right, so first things first, 17.5 points allowed for the Bucs against the Giants in New York on Sunday.
Under. That team is in disarray. Maybe they get a little spark from Cutlets, but that's a bad football team. And I honestly think we might see the Bucs run the ball a lot and because the Giants' fourth worst run defense in football. They might have the ball a lot and really speed the game up, but I think they win by 10, 14 points, and I don't think the Giants score much at all.
I don't think the Giants are going to score more than 13, and they really shouldn't. You're getting Jamel Dean back here. You're going to have to really show Bucs fans that you're going to turn this season around, and you don't do that by winning in a close game and letting the Giants score 20 points, or you lose the game and then the season's all but over. But I'm going to go under.
All right, Mike Evans is back this week coming off that hamstring injury. Over under 6.5 targets for Mike Evans this week.
I'm going to go with over. Feed that man the football. He's your guy. I'm going to go with over. He's back on the field because he's healthy. I'm going to say at least 7 targets for him. I'm going to go over.
Baker misses him so much. I mean, the entire offense through the air was almost entirely running through Kate Otten without Mike out there. He can't wait to throw Mike the ball over.
Based on how that first drive is moving, I wouldn't be shocked if he had 3 thrown to him on that first drive alone.
Agreed.
All right, so on yesterday's show, Pat was saying how they really have nobody but Malik Neighbors on that Giants offense. I brought up Tyrone Tracy. He's averaging over 100 yards rushing in his last 4 games.
That's incredible.
Over under 95.5 rushing yards for Tyrone Tracy against a Bucs defense that is allowing 125 rushing yards per game.
Under. I think it's under because I think, like I just said, that they're not going to have the ball all that much because I think the Bucs are going to have long, sustained drives. And also, I think they're going to be trailing, and you've got to try to throw the ball. And they want to play around with their new toy, Cutlets. So I think it's under.
I actually think it's quite the opposite. I think they're going to try to protect Cutlets. He's not a new toy.
For what?
They know what he is. Well, they're going to try to win the football game.
Nah.
So the way they're going to win the football game is go to your best guys, and right now running the football is most effective for them. So if they can keep the Bucs offense off the field, control the clock by running the football, that will work for them. I'm still going to go under because I think the Bucs are going to key in on that and make sure that if Tommy's going to beat him, he's going to beat him with his arm.
Okay, next up, over under 1.5 ACC teams in the final college football playoff rankings. Currently, we got Miami and SMU in.
I'm going to...
And then right on the outside is Clemson at 17.
I've got to look at how it all is going to shake up, but there's just a part of me that thinks Miami, they might have another dud down the stretch. They might have another dud. I'm going to go with under.
I'm going to take the over. I think they both get in. I really like the way Smooth's playing. Bet against them a couple weeks ago, at least on Pick'em, and that was a bad idea. And I wouldn't be shocked if Miami had another dud, but I don't expect them to. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say over. I say they both get in.
I really hope Clemson doesn't sneak in. I really hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me see real fast who they have left. Real quick here. Miami's got Syracuse coming up on the. They got Wake Forest and Syracuse.
I know one guy that would tell us to take Syracuse, but
was about to say that too.
On the road in Syracuse, that's not the easiest out. I'm not saying they're going to lose that game, but I wouldn't be shocked if they had a dud there. But the way it looks right now, they're going to be in. Obviously, if they went out and do their thing, they're going to be in.
All right, Buffalo Bills got a big win against the Chiefs, giving them their first loss this past week. Over under 13.5 wins for the 9-2 Buffalo Bills at the end of the season.
I'm going to go over. They look really good, man. They look like one of the better teams in football. That big win over the Chiefs.
They only lose one more game for the rest of the season.
They got 3 pretty tough ones still there. They got Rams, 49ers, and Chiefs. Or not Chiefs.
They got the Lions.
Lions, that's right.
They got the Lions ahead.
49ers are not the same team, and Brock Purdy has taken a step back. But they're going to beat the Patriots. They're going to twice. They're going to beat the Jets. So I'm going to say over.
Everybody loses to somebody they shouldn't. I think it could happen to the Bills at least once, and you've got the Niners and the Lions and the Rams are tough. Like I'm going to say they'll find a way to lose 2 more. I'll take the under.
Okay, one more. Over under 50.5 total points in the Har Bowl on Monday Night Football. Ravens at Chargers. Looking forward to that one.
I'm going under on that too, Pat. The Chargers defense, for the most part this season, has been really, really good.
It has been. Yeah, that's why it's the one game that I'm a little worried about for the Buccaneers down the stretch. I think that's going to be a tough matchup. Yeah, I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take the over just because the Ravens are so bad defensively, and then I think they'll do enough to stay in the game because they're good enough usually to do that. So I'll take the over.
Will the offensive woes from last week against Pittsburgh carry over? I think that's the question.
I think that's about Pittsburgh's defense more than it is about Baltimore's offense.
Chargers defense as well.
It is, but listen, we know those games, dude. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, that's what that game's supposed to look like. This thing, I wouldn't be surprised if it looks more like Baltimore-Cincinnati. Remember that game?
Yep.
Than it does Baltimore-Pittsburgh.
That's over-under, brought to you by HowardTeamHomeLoans.com. Pat Donovan, Mr. Pat Donovan. On the other side, we're going to have Ken Hagen joining us. But before that, you, my friend, every time I see your Instagram page and all the meats, and when they look the best, when I see the most delicious meats, I look down and I see where they come from, and it's no surprise.
It may be too late. You certainly can't pre-order the Amish turkeys at Meat and Bone. But if they still have them, I would certainly suggest making your family the best and healthiest Thanksgiving turkey you could ever make. But also, they've got a lot of stuff. Listen, a lot of us, we love turkey, but we like to throw a little extra out there on Thanksgiving. If you really want to treat your family, they have, I need to probably go pick some of this up. Japanese A5 Wagyu prime rib. A lot of other great Thanksgiving sides, dishes. They've even got Chef Chuko's brine so you can make your turkey as good as possible. Serve your family the best turkey and Thanksgiving meal by going to Meat and Bone. They're right on Kennedy, right near Dale Mabry, and very easy to find at meatandbone.com, too, where you can find out about free delivery. This weekend, they're actually going to be doing a tasting from 11 to 3 on Saturday. I'm going to swing by for at least a couple hours. Cooking up some delicious meat so you can try it out. So come by and say hello. Meat and Bone and meatandbone.com.
On the other side, starting out the 8 o'clock hour, of course, we will continue to talk about the Lightning and their big come-from-behind win yesterday over the Pittsburgh Penguins, 3-2. And it's big because Braden Point scored 2 goals. It's really nice to have him back, including that game winner in his first game back after missing a couple games of that lower body injury. We'll get to that. Plus, Hillsborough County Commissioner Ken Hagen. He's going to be in studio joining us to talk about the
DAE. Streaming live on Alexa and the free iHeartRadio app.
Hour number 3 of the Pat Aaron Show, 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. And joining us in studio right now is our good friend Ken Hagen, of course, Hillsborough County Commissioner. We've been all over the Pinellas County Commission, but today we decided to bring in a commissioner we really trust and love, our good friend Ken Hagen, reelected just again and just yesterday sworn in again. Congratulations. We said it yesterday on the air, but in person, congratulations again, my friend.
Thanks, Pat. I really appreciate it, brother.
Mazel tov. I'll say that from me.
Well, it's always great to be in studio, guys. I appreciate the opportunity.
So how surprised were you by the Rays letter to the Pinellas County Commission yesterday and the timing of the letter yesterday?
I was pretty shocked, honestly. I've heard the discussion earlier this morning, and I think you can point fingers all around. I don't think you can point it just at the Rays or just at the commissioners over there. From an elected official standpoint, I don't blame the Pinellas County Commissioners, and for a couple of reasons. First of all, you really shouldn't bring major issues like this, several $100 million bond issues, anytime during campaign or election season.
That's what I said to Pat before the show.
There's always issues. You've got elected officials that are tentative or really may not want to vote on things like that. I mean, there's so many unknowns that, first and foremost, that shouldn't happen. And then, unfortunately, we have 2 devastating hurricanes here. You got folks that are struggling. So many needs, higher priorities, the cost of to repair Tropicana Field, a minimum of $55 million. And so I don't blame them for wanting to take a step back and let's reevaluate everything, our priorities. But then you've got 2 brand new commissioners, and they're asked to vote on in excess of $300 million bond issues that some would say is putting a burden on the taxpayers. And so first and foremost, their number one responsibility is to look out for the taxpayers, protect the taxpayers, and to ask for an additional couple of weeks. I think it's fair and reasonable. We go through that on every new board that we have, and that a much, much, much smaller issues. It could be a $2 million, $5 million, $10 million project, and you've got a new board that didn't vote to approve it, and then suddenly they're asked to approve the funding, and it's like, wait a second, we may not share the same priorities, and so we've gone through that time and time again.
Should they have gotten it done in October, though, when it was originally supposed to be pushed through?
Honestly, there's no right or wrong month or time frame, but something like that should happen in the summer, in the spring, not in the fall, in or around a campaign season. Now, but the blame that I will put on, though, there's the race side, and I'll talk about that as well. But I do blame the administration of both Pinellas County and St. Pete for agreeing to that timeline, that time frame to put the commissioners in that spot, because it really jams them up. So I do point some blame there.
But the announcement was made in July. So you talk about the summer. It's hard to kind of get all that information together for the county commissioners when that announcement's coming in the summer. And it makes me think, first of all, I think there's a lack of transparency on both sides. I think there's a lack of trust on both sides. I don't think either side fully trusts each other. And when you're going off on a future endeavor, something like this, a massive project like this, you have to have trust. So in your years of dealing with the Rays, have you ever felt like you could understand why there'd be a lack of trust from the Pinellas County Commissioner side?
Well, I'll start out by saying that I have an enormous amount of respect for Stu Sternberg, Matt Silverman, Brian Ald. Great guys, get along with them extremely well, always have.
Have they always gotten back to you when you reach out to them?
Yes. No, the communication with me has always been there. But at the same time, I will say that at times it's been challenging in dealing and negotiating, and it's really not as much as with Matt and Brian, who are here, that are you're always talking to, but it's more so from Mr. Sternberg. And it's not a personal thing. I mean, he's a great guy. I've been in a game with him. He's old school, keeps score, which I admire. So he's a true fan of the game. But at times, I think they just have a different way of operating. So I can understand when someone would say, hey, it's a little bit challenging to deal and negotiate with them. I don't know if I would call it a trust thing. I do trust, and I do believe, Pat, I think I disagree with you a little bit on this, that I do believe that they, or Aaron, I'm sorry, that they want to remain. I do believe that they want to remain in Tampa Bay. The thing that I've always stated is you have to have a willing and able partner in order to make the deal work. And when I mean able, I mean financially able. And time again, they've either been unwilling or unable to make certain financial commitments. And that's happened back in 2019. That happened last year with the deal that we proposed. And when you read the letter, they essentially say the same thing. We're unable to absorb alone the cost increases associated with this. So to me, it's not about them not wanting to be here. It's just that they may not have the financial wherewithal to make the deal work.
Ken, let's say that yesterday this meeting happens. This is a Hillsborough County Commissioners meeting and not Pinellas County. You're there, and an hour before this major vote, you get a letter from the Rays with everything that it said in it yesterday. How do you feel, and how do you think the other commissioners feel with that letter?
Well, personally, after being engaged with this issue for over 13 years, I would know that it was coming. I would see the writing on the wall. I would know suspect I would know the votes and how they would play out. But I just don't understand the timing of sending the letter. I don't understand saying we're going to show up, but we're not going to answer any questions. Well, why just stay in your office?
And Stu never showed up. Stu never showed up. So how involved is Stu, and how much does he really care? And this is the biggest decision of this franchise's career.
I think to an extent, though, it's the president's job to be out there public. Like, that's kind of what they do.
The guy keeps score, according to Ken, at baseball games. He loves it. You're telling me
cutting your presidents off at the knees?
No, be there with them. Be there with them. Be a face that everyone is seeing. Do you agree with that or disagree with that? Maybe I'm putting too much on that, Ken, of him actually being a face that is there.
Well, yes and no. I think a lot of folks have believed through the years that there should be a larger presence from Mr. Sternberg in Tampa and Tampa Bay. I do believe that. However, having worked closely with the team, he puts an enormous amount of trust with his leadership team, from Matt, Brian to Melanie Lenz, and he delegates and lets them do an enormous amount of the work because he trusts and believes in them. So I don't know if it's absolutely necessary for Mr. Sternberg to have been there. I think knowing that Matt and Brian have been the chief negotiators, if you will, throughout this process, that they're on the front lines. So I don't know if it's necessary for him to have actually been there.
Okay.
The fact that there was a presence, which was great, but I've never understood why folks, for any meeting, I'll show up, but I don't want to answer any questions. And
why not engage, right? Yeah,
engage, or just don't show up. Send the letter, and but I just didn't understand the timing of it, because in the reality, what is a couple weeks on a $300 million deal as far as the bond issue? So just I didn't fully understand the timing of it.
You're obviously more involved than the rest of us, but like the rest of us, you're a Rays fan as well. As we sit here today, what's your level of concern that they may not be in Tampa Bay at all within a few years?
Well, as a fan, I'm always concerned about that. First and foremost, it's paramount that the team remains in Tampa Bay. Again, for over 13 years, I've championed the team being in Tampa because I know that financially it's the best deal for the team. It provides them the best opportunity to be sustainable, to maximize their revenue streams, and it's just best all around for the fans because the population base and the corporations are located in Tampa. That being said, they have to remain in Tampa Bay. Now, as someone that's kind of worked on this and have been in conversation through the years with Major League Baseball and Commissioner Manfred, I know what an important market this is for Major League Baseball. Commissioner Manfred has told me that himself several times. So from that perspective, I'm not as concerned about just picking up and leaving, because I don't believe Commissioner Manfred would sign off on that. I think as long as there are viable offers on the table, may not be to the team's liking as much as they want, but as long as there are credible offers, that the team will remain here, one way or the other.
I've never been a Rob Manfred guy, but boy, if he helps save baseball in Tampa Bay, I will lift that man up on my shoulders, just like I said I do for Chris Latvala if he had changed his mind and voted for the Bonds. But, of course, nobody voted because they delayed it.
I think if Rob Manfred doesn't step in, I think the Rays are gone years ago.
Well, we will find out. We will find out what's going to – well, we don't find that out, but we will find out what's going to happen. Again, I disagree with you on that, but we will find out what's going to happen as we move forward. Ken Hagen in studio with us right now. When we return, we're going to talk with Ken about – could it end up, if the ball is dropped by Pinellas, could we end up in a situation where Tampa is ready to step back up again? Hillsborough County Commissioner Ken Hagen in studio with us. We'll get to that on the other side. But I know one group that would certainly help if they had the wherewithal. And that's our friends at Suncoast Credit Union, because they're all about giving back to Rays fans. They're always about giving back to the community. We tell you all baseball season long about how they're donating, or they have donated money for every Rays
back to the Pat and Aaron Show on WDAE. Streaming live on Alexa and the free iHeartRadio app.
Pat and Aaron Show, 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. Hillsborough County Commissioner Ken Hagen hanging out with us for the final hour as we talk about this mess that's going on with the Rays ballpark. So, Ken, I texted you. I talked a little bit. I know you were listening a little bit. I was talking about it yesterday a little bit about my cockamamie idea about trying to save the Rays if Pinellas were to drop the ball. And I know the ball's kind of in their court at this point. But if they were to drop the ball and we would need to try to save them by bringing them to Tampa Bay, I said to Aaron earlier, if I'm a new owner of the Tampa Bay Lightning, like, of course, Jeff Vinik has sold controlling interest to a couple of gentlemen that are also super rich billionaires. If I'm one of those guys, I feel like the best thing for me and the value of my franchise is for Tampa and Tampa Bay to be as great as possible and to be considered a great sports city, which I think you kind of lose if you lose a Major League Baseball franchise. And I would be interested in maybe making an investment, maybe helping bring in other investors, or finding a way to help bring the Rays to Tampa. How unlikely is it? Is it a phone call you or someone would make, like, hey, we'd love to get you guys involved. We've seen what you've done with Water Street. We'd love your help with Ybor City and getting the Rays here. Is that as cockamamie as it sounds?
Well, it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility. Let me say, first and foremost, I've not had the opportunity to meet the new ownership group. I look forward to doing so, and that should happen here in relatively near future. That being said, and I haven't had the conversation with Mr. Vinik in quite a while, but if you remember years ago, Jeff Vinik, he was spearheading not only in transforming Channelside or Water Street, but he was on CNBC, Bloomberg, championing companies to relocate here.
Right.
And he was always fighting for what was best for Tampa and Hillsborough County and Tampa Bay. And he stated so on several occasions that it would be an enormous black eye, and it would make it much more difficult to recruit corporations to relocate here if we lose a Major League Baseball franchise. So I know that certainly he understands the importance of the Tampa Bay Rays remaining in the region. I would assume the new ownership group does as well, but again, I haven't had the opportunity to have that discussion with them. But, when you texted me that the other day, I said, well, stranger things have happened. And if you recall, Mr. Vinik, used to be a minority owner of the Red Sox. You certainly have other billionaire owners that own multiple franchises with different leagues, so there's no prohibition with that happening. And I do suspect that there will be one or more local ownership groups that will mobilize or are mobilizing should that opportunity come to be involved either from an investment standpoint or in potentially purchasing the team should that possibility happen. So that's why I said, stranger things have happened. I don't know how likely that is, but it wouldn't surprise me.
You have a good relationship. Ken Hagen, by the way, joining us if you're just joining the show. You have a good relationship with Stu Sternberg and Brian Auld and Silverman. You've got a good relationship with them. Why can't we, and tell me if the money is still an issue on the Tampa side, but Stu, I know redevelopment of that Trop site was a big part of it, but there was a lot of money that Stu is going to be putting on the table, more so than the money we heard in 2018 that he'd be putting on the table for that stadium in Ybor City. So why can't we get back to the table in Tampa now that clearly he's upset with what's going on in Pinellas County? Why can't you and everyone in Tampa and Hillsborough County try to get that money together, try to get Stu to put that money back on the table and try to get this thing to work, even if it has to do with a redevelopment site here in Tampa? Why can't that come alive again? Because for everyone, I think that would be the desired outcome.
Well, a couple things. Number one, we can. And for the last several weeks, I've been laying the groundwork with our team, stating that when that time comes, I don't know if that's today or if that's 6 months from now, that we're going to be ready to have that conversation. That's something that we will be prepared for. Tomorrow, we're having a meeting with myself, the county administrator, Mayor Castor, Eric Hart, the Sports Authority, to just have that conversation to ensure that we're all on the same team, that we're all, communicating and understand exactly what we want to do. But it's certainly my intention to be prepared to have that conversation when it's appropriate. Certainly, we have to let things play out. We'll see what happens in Pinellas County.
Are you worried about stepping on their toes in Pinellas County?
I've always,
because I'm going to tell you should not be.
While I have fought very, very hard for the Rays to ultimately be in Tampa and Hillsborough County, at the same time, I've tried to be respectful and stated that the most important thing is that they remain in the region. When Brian Auld called me last year to let me know that they had made a decision to go with St. Pete and Pinellas County, I told them then, and my position hasn't changed, was good luck. If things do not work out for any reason, the door's opened for us to have that conversation.
They're not working out, by the way. And I think most Rays fans will agree with me. Ken, take it. Take it, because you will not be stepping on anyone's toes.
Not at this point.
Pinellas fumbled the bag. They fumbled. Now, I think both sides are to blame, but Pinellas, there's no doubt in my mind, they fumbled this bag, and I don't think anyone would ever or should ever blame you or anyone in the Tampa side, Hillsborough County, for going and taking it now. You've done your job. You were respectful. Now they blew it. They screwed it up. You take it.
Well, number one, I very much appreciate the kind words. Let me say that. But again, no one could have envisioned, 2 hurricanes and how we got to this point. So I don't want to, point fingers at any one individual or any one entity. And I do think it's critically important to point out one other thing. Our primary focus, when I say our, I mean Tampa, Hillsborough County, the Sports Authority, is to make the transition for this season as seamless as possible. That is number one right now. And again, we're not having that conversation right now, but there are some enormous challenges with playing at Steinbrenner Field. I do strongly believe they made the right decision, and it's not just because I'm an elected official in Hillsborough County. It's because it's the largest minor league ballpark in the region. It's most MLB ready. We even had a Rays player, I can't remember who it was, last week or two, that commented on saying, yeah, it's Major League Baseball ready. You would have to very little infrastructure that would need to take place. Mr. Sternberg, the team, they're getting crushed financially with this move. In this, by playing in the Yankees or the ballpark, it provides them the best opportunity to maximize their much lower revenue streams that they would have realized in Dunedin or in Clearwater, which are great ballparks. I go to a couple games every spring training at both of those. I love going there, but it really made the most sense. And what our goal has been and will continue to be is to work closely with the Yankees, with the Rays, and with Major League Baseball to make it as seamless as possible. And one other thing, I do want to give a shout out and personally thank Hal Steinbrenner, Tony Bruno, and the entire Yankee organizations for, number one, agreeing for this to happen, because while Hillsborough County owned Steinbrenner Field, ultimately it was the Yankees' decision.
Yep.
And they've been unbelievable partners. They always have been, going back to growing up with getting to know the late, great George Steinbrenner, just an unbelievable man, and the things that he did for our community. I could tell stories after stories about that. I know you guys have on the air several times in the past, but they've been great, and it was their decision. And so working with them, particularly the Sports Authority, helping them with operations and different things to make that transition as smooth and seamless as possible, not only for the team, but most importantly for the fans. So that's our primary focus right now. And then when that time comes, I don't know if that's tomorrow or 6 months from now, to have that conversation, and we'll be prepared to do so.
I want to clear up what I believe is a misconception about the Rays playing at Steinbrenner, what it could mean for the future of this team, and also get into more about how potentially this team could land in Hillsborough if Pinellas drops the bag, and it sure as hell looks like they're going to. Hillsborough County Commissioner Ken Hagen joining us for the final hour today here on the Pat and Aaron Show. We'll have a lot more with him when we return on the other side, but want to remind you again about our great friends at Suncoast Credit Union, all the work that they do for the community. They're always, you hear about it during baseball season, the way they're donating when Rays players get a base hit or a home run, but they're always giving back to the community. Show, 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. Ken Hagen joining us in studio right now. And I said it before the break, I want to clear up a couple of misconceptions, one that I had and one that I think a lot of our listeners have. Ken, I had said the other day when talking about this that the reason why the ballpark was never going to be in Tampa is because you had told us that, you know what, Tampa really didn't have the funding and wasn't going to have more than $300 million. And you texted me to clear that up. That's not actually the case, is it?
No, not at all. I think that number, I probably was doing an interview with you guys, and you may have asked about upfront money, and I said, we're probably in the neighborhood of 250, 300, but that was just for upfront money. And I always have to stress when we start talking about money, because the haters out there that will always hate just focus on they assume the very worst, that the taxpayer is going to get fleeced and all that stuff, which is total BS. And I've stressed from the beginning, first and foremost, number one priority is to protect the taxpayers. And that's why in our financial model, admittedly very creative, but it was essentially fee-based structure based on creating an entertainment zone with every beer, hot dog, shirt bought, that a portion goes toward the stadium, which is very similar to the Texas Rangers, I think it's Globe Life Ballpark in Arlington. Also creating a CDD where the owners of the property essentially tax themselves to help pay for it, tourist tax dollars, and then what we call CRA, Community Redevelopment Area dollars, that have to be used in a particular area, not using general revenue dollars, and candidly not putting out $600 million bond deals that some people would say is on the backs of taxpayers. So very creative model that requires the team to put up more upfront money. It requires the team to assume the risk, because we're not going to put the burden on the taxpayers. But the whole model is based on what the term is, but for the growth that would take place, our model would not happen. And so we're assuming that the growth would occur and that the Rays would have received in our model significantly more money than $600, but it would have been paid over about a 10-year time frame. So they were getting less money up front, assuming more of the risk, having to put in more of the money. And that's why I've stated they have to be willing and able, financially able to do that, but recognizing for the long-term play, they've already admitted that for the team, the best opportunity for the team to be sustainable and profitable long-term is in Tampa. The Rays have admitted that they've said that. They know they would make, I think they stated $30, $40, $50 million more a year. There's a reason why Populous, who's the best architectural firm in the world, who the Rays have on their team, there's a reason why they originally had two models, one in Ybor City, which was $38,000 roughly, and then one in St. Pete, which was $30,000, because they knew more fans are going to come to the ballpark in Tampa.
They obviously scoffed at this one time, right, already.
Yes.
Do you think if everything falls apart as it looks like it's going to in Pinellas, they may reconsider that?
That's certainly our hope. Yeah. But we've stated from the very beginning, going back to 2016, that the best that we could hope for was a 50-50 split, a model. And again, our 50 is not is zero general revenue dollars. They're all creatively based, but it's under our column, if you will. And at the time, they were not willing to do that. And that's when they took their ball and went home back in 2019. And then just prior to COVID, and I've stated this several times, I believe with you guys, we had the best meeting we've ever had with the team. They acknowledged they're going to have to put in at least half the money. They're going to be more transparent, communicate better with us. Walked out of there, we're going to get things done. And then a month later, COVID hit. And then everything shut down, understandably so. And so a year or so after that, year and a half after that, we started talking again. We were putting together our model, which admittedly was creative, but it would have provided significantly more than $600 million. It just wasn't upfront money.
6 years ago is a long time ago. So I can understand the Rays recognizing their wrongs back then and trying to say, hey, this is what we're going to do better this time around. But to me, and I know you both disagree with me, but this is why I don't think Stu Sternberg is as gung-ho about making it happen in Tampa Bay like he says. Because if you talk about, hey, you're going to have to put a little more extra money down up front, but you're going to make more on the back end, and you know that. That should be a no-brainer right there.
If you have the money.
If you have the money. Stu Sternberg is a billionaire. He can get the money. He can get the funding. I don't think that was a problem. To me, if you believe in this area, you're going to get it done. You're going to put what's needed to get down if you trust that the area is going to work and you're going to get the money back in the long run. Clearly at the time, and I don't know if that's changed, they didn't trust that. That's all I'm saying. That's what I see from this situation, especially when you say they weren't willing to put down enough money up front and get the money in the long haul.
I can't agree or disagree.
Maybe they changed.
All I can state is, again, you've got to have a willing and able financial partner to do it. And
I'm hoping they changed. I think this could all be a win if they end up in Tampa anyway, and we could say, hey, they ended up where they were supposed to. It just feels like we're about to lose this team completely, this franchise.
It does. I'm scared as hell that that's going to happen. I want to ask you something. I've seen this a lot from people on Twitter, on Facebook, a lot of the reaction we're getting from people, and I've told them flat out that, in my opinion, they're wrong. And I'll tell you why. A lot of people are saying, hey, once Tampa sees how many people are going to come to Steinbrenner Field every game, then they're going to be more invested in bringing the Rays to Tampa. And the argument that I've made the whole time is, A, there's nothing that selling out a 12,000-seat ballpark is going to tell Tampa that they don't already know. And you and I think most leaders in Tampa, on the Tampa side, are already incredibly invested in bringing the Rays to Tampa. So I don't think there's anything you can – correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's anything you can see at Steinbrenner Field that's going to make you more motivated than you already are to try to get this team here if it falls apart in Pinellas.
Certainly not for myself, and I don't want to speak for Mayor Castor or anyone else on our team. I don't believe that's the case. However, potentially if you have elected officials that are on the fence or are always being told, this is bad for the taxpayers, on, potentially, and just thinking about it right now for the first time, that if it's a smashing success, and I believe it will be, I think every game will sell out. Agreed. I think it's going to be unbelievable to have the Rays playing at Steinbrenner Field. Potentially, that would cause some electeds that were thinking about not supporting it down the road to say, hey, to rethink things. Say, hey, you know what? Maybe this is in the best interest of the city, the county, and for the taxpayers. When you see the growth that takes place, when you see the additional revenue that comes in, the tourist tax revenue, sales tax revenue, and it has to make financial sense. And if it doesn't, I don't blame anyone for not supporting the deal. And that's why I've stated as much from a personal perspective, from being a fan, a previous season ticket holder, someone that goes to 10 to 15 games a year. I want the team to be here, but from an elected standpoint, we have to be thinking about the taxpayers and considering all of our priorities and making sure that any type of an investment, however small it is or large it is, it makes sense. And that's what will ultimately drive the conversation, will drive the debate. And that's why I've always stated to the haters out there, whether they're just average folks or if they're elected officials, is don't try and kill something until you see what's on the table. And keep an open mind and be objective and be reasonable. But unfortunately, you've got a segment out there, either they hate sports, hate the Rays, hate Mr. Sternberg, that want to kill something before they even know what the option is, what's on the table. So let things play out, see how it goes. And, if I have no problem in Pinellas County, if folks think that $600 million bond issue was was awful for the taxpayers. If that's your position, I'm okay with that. May agree or disagree, but I'm totally fine with that. Let it play out. See what's on the table, see what the burden is, and risk reward.
We all just want what's best for our future, right, Aaron?
That's right. You want what's best for your future. And we're going to ask on the other side to wrap things up with Ken Hagen if he thinks this deal is done, dead, and if the Rays are a better chance of them leaving than them staying. We'll get to that on the other side. But how about your future? How about your retirement planning? Trajan Wealth, they're going to help you with this. They're going to help you reach your investment goals, and they tailor the goals to your specific needs at Trajan Wealth. They're going to work closely with you to make your path to retirement an easy and a comfortable one. You're going to have questions. They'll have answers for you, and they've got offices right here in Tampa, so easy to get to, but they'll do a virtual appointment if that's more comfortable for you. At Trajan Wealth, they help you prepare for tomorrow with a retirement plan that's in line with your values and your risk tolerance. Retirement planning, wealth management, that's what they're going to help you with at Trajan Wealth. And the good people at Trajan, they're the type of people you want to work with, and they would love to talk with you about your financial goals today, as they're going to help you develop a plan that is going to give you that peace of mind. Consultations are complimentary, so why why wait? 813-550-1000. Once again, that's 813-550-1000. Or you can find out more information online, TrajanWealth.com. Once again, TrajanWealth.com. Don't wait any longer. Book that appointment today. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC and SEC registered investment.
Go check out Mazda. But finally, he listened up, and what did he do? He he leased a Mazda 3, so he could be just like me.
Shout out, Ember. You did fantastic. And everyone over there, actually. It was great to hang out over there. Get it done.
Ken Hagen, Hillsborough County Commissioner, hanging out with us in studio today. Ryan was holding on for a while, and I kind of forgot about him. Ryan, my apologies. Let's get him in before the end of the show. He has a question for Ken Hagen. Ryan, good morning.
Hey, guys. How you guys doing?
We're well, brother. How are you? We're kind of up against it, so let's just get right into it.
Yep. So just real quick, I don't think it's any part of anybody's fault. I think it's been a long process. I think, obviously, we talked about Ray's fault first, and I think my biggest question is these allocations for money can only go to certain spots. So if they can only go to certain things and it allocated for a stadium, I don't understand how the deal doesn't get done or get done sooner on a timetable when you know election year's coming up. And that's pretty much all I got. I can hang up and listen.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Ryan.
Well, the only thing I would say is, and what I've stated for years, is that there's not a one-size-fits-all model for a ballpark because the location determines what financial options exist. Back in 2019, we're looking at having an opportunity zone at that location. Now, in Ybor City, we had an opportunity, again, to utilize CRA, Community Redevelopment Area dollars that, again, I have to stress, those dollars must be utilized in that particular area. That zone cannot be used for law enforcement or schools or fire rescue or other, priorities. They must be used for infrastructure at that location. And so the location drives the financial models.
If you had to make a prediction, Ken, based on everything you've seen right now, let's go to 2028, 2029. Based on what we've seen, especially last day, do you think it's more likely the Rays are in Tampa Bay in 2029 or in a completely different city and state in 2029?
Tampa Bay.
Definitive. You feel good about it. That was strong. You didn't even think.
That's based on, again, my conversation and admittedly it's been a couple years, but I've had several conversations with Commissioner Manfred, and he stressed this is a very important market for Major League Baseball. We know the importance of the TV market to the league. And so I believe that, I can't say with any degree of certainty whether that's in Pinellas County or Hillsborough County, but I believe one way or another, the team's going to remain in Tampa Bay.
Is it fair for you in your position for us to ask if you had to guess which side of the bay it would be on? You can say it's not fair.
I like that one.
I think it's fair, but I'm not going to give you an answer.
On the air, you mean?
Hey, listen, I think, and I can see it from the text line, Ken, it was we learned a lot from having you in here with the insight of the ins and outs of being on being a commissioner, because a lot of us don't. Like, I'm not in all those meetings. I don't know. I watch some of those meetings. It all goes over my head, some of the lingo in there. So to give us a behind the peak look, behind the curtain, I really appreciate it. I know the listeners do too. So thanks for coming in.
Hey, thank you for the opportunity. I love you guys. I'm a proud OG, and anytime I can have the opportunity to come into the studio, I'm jumping at it.
Yeah, it's definitely important, and Aaron's 100% right, because like I said yesterday, like I don't look at this objectively. I'm a big fat sports ogre. I want my sports. I want my baseball team.
That's what that should be your handle or something.
Yeah, big fat sports ogre. Yeah. It's too long. But like I don't, I've said, like, if it were up to me, yeah, I'll pay taxes. Tax me. I want a ballpark. I want a baseball team in my backyard. But I understand that because of my job, because I love sports, because I'm a Rays fan, I'm not exactly objective. And I start yelling at people like Chris Lodfalla on the internet because I'm like, just get me my damn ballpark.
No, I understand. As a fan, I agree with you. But first and foremost, I have to think about the taxpayers of Tampa and Hillsborough County and doing what's in their best interest while balancing the importance of having the Tampa Bay Rays in our region and having major league franchises that allow us to recruit these major companies to come here. And that's part of the reason why this is the hottest place to live. We live, and Pat, you were talking about this, I think it was yesterday or the day before, why all the athletes wanted to come back here. We live in a remarkably special place. That's a must-see destination, and part of the reason is because of the professional franchises.
If you think Helene or Milton doesn't happen, do you think that the vote goes through yesterday and everything, or goes through maybe before the election and everything is good, or do you think that it would have been different? Like, do you think Milton and Helene really changed everything, or maybe that it wouldn't have mattered either way and not everyone was sold in Pinellas County?
That's a very good question. My gut tells me if the vote was taken in advance of the election, then it probably would have gone through.
Man, we've really been screwed between COVID
and the hurricanes.
COVID COVID and the hurricanes, it has really screwed this region. I'll tell you one thing that stuck out to me today, Ken, though, is I asked you, do the Rays always get back to you when you reach out to them? And you told me yes. And you know what? They don't always give me the answer I want. Sometimes it's just no comment. But every time I've ever reached out to somebody with Rays leadership, I always hear back. And it's hard for me to believe that they just didn't communicate with the Pinellas County Commission at all.
Maybe just Latvala because they knew where that vote was going. But even
I saw another guy say it. I saw another guy who was like, I don't want to be a scapegoat. And he said basically the same thing.
But even if that were the case, like, wouldn't you want to talk to Latvala and let him know why there would be benefits to the region and the area for having it? So if that were true, I still wouldn't let the Rays off the hook. You should be talking to everybody.
Yeah, I want to stress that we've always had open lines of communication. They've been very transparent to me. Again, haven't always liked the answers and what they suggest and in the direction they want to go. But I'd like to think that I've always been very open and transparent to them as well. And so I cannot, say anything negative with respect to the, Mr. Sternberg or the leadership team when it comes to being with communicating.
Ken's going to help save the Rays.
I believe
Tampa
it.
Bay.
I believe it. You're our hero, Ken. You're going to be our hero. Look at that. Look at him blush. He's blushing. We made him blush. If you're watching on live stream, we made him blush. Save us, Ken.
Save us.
Save us.
Save us. Save us.
No comment.
That's all we have time for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, for Casey Warner in the penalty box, for Aaron Jacobson, and for Hillsborough County Commissioner Ken Hagen, I'm Pat Donovan. Thanks so much for allowing us to be morons, at least me, Aaron, and Casey, for a living. Sorry, Mom, not the rest of you.
Good to be back. If you see me driving, if you see a fresh Mazda 3 at 2025 on the road, that's me.
Red interior. I'm so jealous.
Yeah, let's go. You going to go waft it?